It's important to follow your passion because it will make you a much happier person in life. When you do something you love, it doesn't feel like you're actually doing work.
Okay, and how do you deal with stress?
I deal with stress two different ways. One is by driving. I love to drive my car,
Okay.
just like on windy roads because it's a really fast car. And two is walking my dog and just getting outside and exercising.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
How has your career goal changed when you're in high school, college, and now?
So, well, when I was in high school, I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. But then my chiropractor convinced me to be a chiropractor, which was a good choice. So then I was like just planning to do that, you know? And then when I was in college, I got hurt when I was playing basketball, and so I ended up in the training room. And I thought, this is pretty cool. So then I did the athletic training thing, but was never intending to be a teacher. But then after I got out of school, I didn't really like what I was doing, like right out of school. So this job came up at Cal High. And they said, you be the trainer and you can teach. And I was kind of like, I don't know how to teach, but okay. So I did, and then I liked it. And so that's why I ended up sort of being in this mishmash of chiropractic teacher, athletic trainer all together, which works for me. I like it.
Have you any faces life's changing decision, and how do you deal with it?
Yes. Many, many life-changing decisions. I think really what I like to do is I make a list of like what's good, what's not good about it, you know? So you can decide if it's worth doing or not, but I mean the fact is in life you're gonna have to deal with some stuff you don't want to deal with, so you just kind of have to not be afraid of it, just take it head on and try to make the best decision for yourself and your family. That's really, you know, not everyone's gonna agree with what you do all the time, but if you know it's the best decision for you, then that's what you do.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, can you talk about your career?
My career?
Yeah.
Well, I had a great career. So, I worked for Hewlett Packard for, like 15 years. And then I moved to Swatch. I was working on a project with Swatch. So during that time, I had an opportunity to travel all over the world. In my early 20s, I had an opportunity to do a lot of traveling in Japan. And I learned that the Japanese really like to play tennis, and it was really good to have a good tennis playing skill because that was really beneficial over there. I lived in Europe for a long time, and I just had a wonderful time.
So how has your goal changes throughout your career?
How did my goals change?
Yeah.
My goals actually changed a lot. You know, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was like really ambitious, and I really wanted to climb the corporate ladder. And then I sort of reached a point where I just got tired of being on that treadmill. I wanted to do something totally different. And I looked at something I was really passionate about, which was I really liked math. And I remember I used to like working with kids. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to try the teaching gig. So I just got off the corporate treadmill and jumped into the teaching world, and I really like doing what I'm doing now.
All right. Do you think it's important to follow your passion?
It's absolutely important to follow your passion. But I'm gonna put a caveat on that. I think it's important to have a passion, but I also think it's important to have a passion that can also create wealth. So for example, if I have a passion and I'd like to go and paint grasshoppers, right? I'm really passionate about that, and that's what gets me excited. But the opportunity to create wealth from painting grasshoppers is not so great.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to have a passion, but also to find a passion that has an opportunity to create wealth too.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, why do you think it's important to follow your passion?
I think it's really important to follow your passion because, especially when choosing a career, because you spend more time at work than you do at home, or you spend more time at work than you do with your family. So you've got to be doing something that you actually really like doing, because otherwise your life will be miserable.
So when you're working, how do you do when you have stress?
When I have stress, I tend to try to find ways to cope with it. So I like to take my dogs to the dog park or go on a walk or hang out with friends and just kind of make time for me and make time for the people I care about.
And then, so when you're working, when you face challenges, what do you do?
When I face challenges, especially at work, what I try to do is kind of like take the time to think things out, take the time to really kind of examine a situation, apply any knowledge that I have that I might not have been thinking about, and really think about it critically. And then I tend to work a lot with people, so I like to talk things out with people. I like to work with my colleagues and try to figure out solutions to problems. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the first question is, how do you deal with stress?
All right. Well, I try and keep the set of things that I need to deal with at any given time to a fairly small number. So, if I have a bunch of stuff to do, I deal with, a few things a day. I set aside specific times when I'm dealing with stuff, and outside of that time, I can do whatever I want, but during specific times a day, I deal with the stuff that needs to be dealt with. And I don't worry about it when I'm not in that time period. So, I don't let it keep me up at night. How else? I don't know. I have hobbies that are good at keeping me distracted and hang out with people as much as I can.
Okay. All right. So, what was your career goal when you were in high school and why?
I wanted to join the Army because I was really into military stuff in high school.
Okay. And then lastly, what advice would you give to someone who just graduated college?
Who graduated college?
Yes.
I would say keep an open mind about what you want to do with your life. Don't necessarily think you have to go into whatever you were studying in college, but also try to pursue a career rather than muddle around to go to grad school. Keep in touch with your friends and try and set up in a city where you know people. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do this.
All right. So the first question is, how do you deal with stress?
How do I deal with stress? Well, I find the things that I like to do, and I do them when I get the chance to do them. So my work is full of stress. I don't have deadlines I can't necessarily meet and workloads that are more than I can handle, but I set activities to do after work that relieve that stress. So I find my hobbies and I pursue them actively all the time.
Okay. All right. So, what was your career goal when you were in high school and why?
I had no career goals in high school. It's probably not what you want to show your class.
All good.
In high school, I was pretty absent-minded and somewhat nomadic. I didn't really have any specific goals. I just wanted to graduate. When I graduated is when I started, towards the end of senior year, I started to figure out that my skill set in drawing and illustration and design was probably my avenue to success. So I just took what I knew and enjoyed and pursued it.
Okay. And what advice would you give to someone who just graduated college?
Just graduated college. You're free, finally. Just graduated college. Don't narrow yourself into one position too early, too fast. I guess my experience has to do more with my major, my career. People tend to pick their job early and want to stick to that specific place because they know it well and they're comfortable. But if you branch out and you give yourself multiple opportunities, you'll meet more people and you'll find more avenues to do what you want to do with more people you want to do it with and more locations that you haven't experienced. So don't narrow your experiences to something that's necessarily comfortable. Push yourself outside the box, and don't necessarily expect to get the job you want directly out of school. Be prepared to take jobs that you may think are beneath what you've majored in, but in the long run, they'll find an avenue towards your end career goals.
Okay.
A definition to happiness. I think it's more of a feeling, but at least for me, I'm happiest when my life is balanced, when I have time at home with my family, when I have time to be outside being fit, when I'm satisfied in my career. That's how I define happiness.
Okay, so how important is money to you?
I don't know. I'd like to say that money is unimportant, but I think in order to attain happiness and have the balance I just spoke about, you need to have a base amount of money. Not too much, but enough so that you're free to make choices.